Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video just to address some of the misinformation I'm seeing out there. At first I thought it was just my OCD getting the better of me, but being in some of the Hex chats and the Pulsechain chats, I'm seeing a theme reoccur which probably warrants a little bit of an explanation. I think some people are getting a little bit confused. So if you've when I talk about my OCD, if you're familiar with the TV show Silicon Valley, you'll understand the tabs or spaces argument, and it's about when developers are writing code, whether they tab to put space in their code as they're typing, or whether they just hit space repeated times to give that space. And people just freak out. Some people love the spaces, some people love the tabs, and it doesn't make a material difference to the code. That's just the way people like to do things in there, and some people get OCD about stuff like that. So that's the reference there to Silicon Valley. So how does that apply to Pulsechain and what I'm seeing? And it's to do with a particular comment about a snapshot. So I see a lot of people using the comment or the term snapshot, and some people use it interchangeably, and I think they know what they're talking about, but then I see others referencing when's the snapshot, and they actually think there is going to be a snapshot. So I want to just delve into the differences between a snapshot and a fork, just to clear up those nuances and just to clear up that misinformation. So we'll have a quick look at those and I'll explain it. Okay, just bear with me. I'll just grab a quick drink. Okay, so first of all, let's define the two things. So what is a snapshot? Well, first of all, it's a picture of a moment in time. And I've used picture in inverted commas because that's what we used to do with a camera. We could take a snapshot and that would freeze that moment in time. But it doesn't have to be a picture. It can be a copy of a file these days. You could take a copy of a Word document, and that would be a snapshot at a point in time. In the blockchain world, when we take a snapshot, what we're actually doing is we're at a particular point in time, so at a particular block. Now, we're not necessarily taking a copy of the block, but we're at a particular point in time when we get to a certain block height, someone might take a snapshot. What's it actually do when you take that snapshot? Well, as we know, or you should know by now, the blockchain is really just a giant ledger that keeps, like you see here on the right hand side, just keeps an account of balances in people's wallets at a very basic high level. Obviously Ethereum does a lot more, so there's a lot more to it now. But if you take a snapshot, so at block height 2, if we took a snapshot, then there would be, in the case of Bitcoin, there would be a copy of the ledger, and it would show you who had what balance at that particular moment in time. Why would you take a snapshot? It's a historical point in time, so you can go off and do other things and refer back to that snapshot if you want to do something. Now, why? And this is where I think there's been a little bit of confusion, because in the past, when people do airdrops or things like that, the teams, before they do an airdrop, might take a snapshot of the network, and they might do it 3 months before they actually announce the airdrop, just so people can't game the system or for whatever reason. But they'll take a snapshot at a point in time, and then when they're about to do the airdrop, they'll refer back and say, okay, everyone had these balances at this particular point in time, therefore we'll allocate this amount of airdrop to them. Okay, so that's historically what snapshots have been used for when we're distributing airdrops and things like that. Or they can just be used to prove something was at a particular state at a particular point in time. So that's a snapshot. All right, so let's have a quick look what a fork is. So a fork is a little bit different. So a fork does not really create a snapshot per se. What happens is at a particular point in time, and this is, in this case, we're talking about the Ethereum network. So Ethereum existed as a single network, and this is essentially what Pulse is going to do. Ethereum existed as a single network, And then there was a bit of controversy over I believe it was the DAO hack that was the issue in this case, where a lot of funds got locked, and the community as a whole, the whole of the Ethereum community was divided as to, okay, do we reverse those transactions and continue on our way? And in which case we've done something we said blockchain was designed not to do, and that's we've broken the immutability because we've rolled back the network. So a segment of the community said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it immutable. So whoever's funds are locked, remain locked. They couldn't come to an agreement, so they had to separate and go their different ways. So they had to fork. So how do you choose when to fork? Well, let's go back to our blocks. So at a particular point in time, you will choose at block height, at block height 3, the networks are going to diverge. That is the point in time when the network will diverge. So, and this is what happened here. So we can imagine this is block 1, 2, 3, and at block height 3, that's when the networks decided to go their own different ways or fork. So they came to that fork in the road at that particular block height. So then we ended up with 2 Ethereum chains. We ended up with Ethereum Classic, and we ended up with Ethereum as we know it today. And this is essentially what we're going to go through with Pulsechain. You can imagine this once again is the Ethereum network chugging away as we know it today. Not talking about Ethereum Classic here, just Ethereum. And we get to a particular block height, and this is the difference between the snapshot and the fork. We get to a particular block height, and then the 2 networks will diverge. So you can imagine Ethereum will keep continuing down the bottom here, and rather than Ethereum Classic here, this would be Pulsechain. So we'd end up with Pulsechain network has gone its own way. So, and there's a clear distinction to the snapshot. We're not going to refer back in time and say, so the Pulsechain comes live. We're not going to refer back in time and say, well, this was the state of it 3 months ago, and therefore this is how your stakes look and how your liquid hex looks and how all your ERC20s, now PRC20s look. It's not how it's going to roll. We're going to get to a particular point in time, and the networks are going to fork, and Ethereum will continue to do its own thing, and Pulsechain will be live, and whatever state the Ethereum network was at that block height is how Pulsechain will start. From that point on, then they go do their own different things. People will move balances, end stakes, swap tokens on each different network, and therefore they're now different. Okay, so that point in time at block height 3, they were the same. From that point on, they'll never be the same again. So I think that's the big difference. So what I'm seeing a lot in I think it was in the Hex trading chat this morning, is people are talking about, has Richard already done the snapshot? Are we going to go live soon and he's already done the snapshot? It's not the way it's going to roll out. So I thought it was just people using that term incorrectly and referencing snapshot when they actually meant fork. And now it appears no. Some people actually think there is going to be a point in time when there is a snapshot taken, and we're going to reference back to that for how our stakes were at that point in time. Okay, it's not how it's going to work. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what these people are saying in the chats, but that's how I think people are actually thinking about this. Okay, so at the time of the fork, there will be a duplication of everything on the Ethereum network. All the smart contracts, the tokens, the state of your stakes, not only just on Hex, but in every other protocol, platform, I won't use the term platform, it's a bit confusing, protocol, project, token, whatever you want to call it, the state of those projects and tokens will get copied across as well. So it's the whole box and dice. So then begs the question, well, the timing of the fork. And and this is where I think people are getting a little bit confused, is they think that we're going to refer back in time to this snapshot, which isn't the case. So now we're left, okay, well, when do we think the timing of this is going to happen? The reality is we don't know. So Richard's alluded to the fact that it may be a very short time window where he gives us notice of the pending fork. How might that look? Well, we might get a tweet come out, or some bit of information come out that will say at block height XYZ on the Ethereum network, Pulsechain will fork. So we'll be watching the blocks get produced, and then when we get to block XYZ, boom, the networks will fork, state copied across, then they do their own thing. Now, the speculation out there at the moment is we're a few months off of that date. Okay, so we're already at the stage where we've got the public testnet, the Pulsechain testnet up and running, and you can connect to that now with your MetaMask and go to the faucet and get some test pulse coin. You should be able to see your hex balance on the test network. If you had Ethereum in your account, you should be able to see some T pulse on your account. If you've connected your existing MetaMask account to the Pulsechain test network, you should see all that. It's there to play around with, so feel free to go and do that. But what we don't know is the date when the actual fork will happen for mainnet. There's a lot of work that still needs to happen in the background. There's a lot of moving parts on Ethereum, and you need to make sure that those moving parts work on the test network before we go live on main chain. So that's pretty much where we're at. We don't know a date. It's just speculation at the moment. People are saying maybe December or 3 months. The reality is we don't know, and until Richard sends out that bit of information saying it's all go, everything's just speculation at this point in time. What Richard has alluded to is that the window between the announcement, so if he says at block height XYZ, so how long before that block will he give us an announcement? And look, I think it'll be less than a week. Could even be days or a day. Who knows? But the reason behind that is the more time you give people to in advance of when it actually forks, then they've got more time to game the system or figure out how to try and best game the system. And people can get wrecked doing that, or people can take advantage of other people doing that. So the shorter that window, within a safe bounds, the shorter that window is probably best. And I'd be happy if we just got 2 hours notice saying, guys, we're going live in 2 hours. It would be awesome, because it would mean none of that shenanigans of people trying to game the system. We've just got a live working network. I'm not sure if that's the way it'll play out, but yeah, just stay tuned and keep a lookout follow Richard on Twitter so you know when it happens. But look, as soon as that tweet goes out or that information becomes public, unless you're living under a rock, you'll know about it. It will be blasted across all the main channels of the Hex community, the Pulse community, all the groups. So you'll definitely know about it if you're paying attention. All right, that's it. That's all I wanted to cover in this very short video. Hope that was helpful, and I hope it helps clear up some of the misinformation that is currently out there.